From Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, Southern Katsina comes under persistent bandit attacks as insecurity escalates. Bandits abduct pregnant woman, teenage daughter along Kaduna-Abuja highway. Labour Party presidential candidate promises to fix Nigeria from existential challenge. And Tanzania plane crash death toll rises to 90. Hello and a warm welcome. The insecurity situation is escalating by the day, especially in communities of Southern Katsina, otherwise known as Funtua Zone. Funtua Zone, with 11 local government areas, is gradually coming under persistent bandits attacks, killings, kidnappings, rustling of animals and destruction of properties. In Katsina, Abdullahi Yamadi went to some communities in Funtua and Faskari local governments, where some residents say hardly one could find a community that is not affected by the terrorist attacks. His report.
Less than a kilometer to Mairua town in Faskari local government is Dikke village in Funtua local government, a farming community suffering from incessant bandits attacks. There are 23 people, including women and children from Dikke village, currently in captivity, while 2 escaped recently. Among them is this young lady who gave birth to a baby girl at the terrorist den.
I was in labor for over a week at the terrorist den. Looking at my condition, they thought I was dying and decided to take me to a nearby village and left me there. And a day after, I put to bed. The villagers supported me back to my ancestral home.
Our camera captures an intense negotiation between a father of one of the abducted children and the terrorists in Dikke village.
Wa alaikum salam. Barka Modibo. Ka yi haƙuri abin da ke faruwa, kana ji na ba? Ka san mun yi magana da kai sai an ba da wannan naira miliyan 1.200, wannan 200 tabalan ita ce har yanzu bai kawo ba. Nake so ya kawo sai a hada aji a kai muku. To ko haƙuri za ka yi mu gani daga nan zuwa gobe? To ka san abin da za mu yi a nan karkarar taku, akwai wanda muka sani wanda za mu iya kawo mashi. Idan muka kawo mashi, kana ji na? In na faɗa mashi kila ka san shi. Ciroma. To in ba Ciroman?
Another case is that of entire family of one Samaila Dikke, who were thrown into confusion as the whereabouts of the leader of the household is not known for the past 28 days. Samaila set out on Monday morning with a sum of 1.3 million naira ransom to secure the release of his brother after negotiating with the terrorists, but could not return after 28 days.
There is no need asking whether we are worried or not. In fact, the trauma is too much for us. You know, it wasn't long enough when he paid ransom to secure the release of his 2 children, and now his brother. In fact, the most worrisome situation is that we don't know whether he is dead or alive. We're afraid they must have killed him after collecting the ransom. We don't have anything in this house because from food to other basic necessities, we have finished everything. We're appealing for government's intervention to end these criminalities, dwarfing our socio-economic well-being.
Residents are calling on governments and other security operatives to unravel the perpetrators of the heinous killings and destructions to face the wrath of the law. Abdullahi Ismail, Trust Television News, Katsina.
30 children who were abducted by terrorists in Katsina State have regained their freedom. The children were kidnapped on Sunday while working on a farm in Mairua community, Faskari local government area of Katsina State. The United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, on Friday had urged authorities to swing into action and rescue the children. In a statement signed by UNICEF representative in Nigeria, Christian Munduati, the UN agency described the abductions as reprehensible. Police spokesperson SP Gamba Isa confirmed their release in a statement on Saturday. He said the victims, comprising 17 girls and 13 boys, have since been reunited with their respective families as investigations continue. The abducted children are aged between 15 and 18 years old. National Drug Law Enforcement Agency NDLEA in Katsina State has intercepted 24 kilograms of cannabis sativa and thousands of tablets of Exon 5 in the state. 65-year-old Haruna Abubakar, who is a blind person returning from Lagos heading to Maradi in Niger Republic, is the owner of the consignment when he was arrested in Malumfashi local government area. Abdullahi Yamadi completes the story.
The blind suspected drugs dealer Haruna Abubakar, who worked as beggar in Lagos, is allegedly a habitual drugs dealer who has been making a brisk business from drugs trafficking. The suspect confessed to have committed the offense, saying he was lured into the business by his son, who asked him to purchase the drugs for him from Lagos. Parading the suspect before newsmen in Katsina, the NDLEA commander Muhammad Ibrahim warns commercial drivers to be wary of goods they convey for passengers.
And the officers decided to prove further to check the clothing, and this is what they found inside: 46 blocks of compressed cannabis, weighing over 24 kg, and Exol weighing about 411 grams. And it tries to know that the man is blind and he's taking his consignments to Niger. He said he started it the last year when he bought it, and the profit margin that he made was so much. So he decided to go to Lagos again, beg for arms. The money he got, he now decided to buy another set of cannabis, sativa and Exalt to go and sell.
The anti-drugs agency also calls for collaboration between the NDLEA and the public to succeed in the fight against drugs abuse and its trafficking.
So we decided to let the public know so that we should be aware. We should not be caught off our guards. It's not just normal able people that actually deal or traffic in drugs. We see those that are handicapped that actually seek for help. They too found themselves doing this kind of illicit business.
The agency also called on stakeholders to be more proactive and resilient in confronting the menace of drugs. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
The death on Saturday of a popular Jos businessman Sule Kayarda and 4 other members of his family has destabilized his relatives. Kayarda, alongside other members, were on their way to Kano State for a medical checkup when they lost their lives in a ghastly motor accident in Isma village of Toro local government area of Bauchi State. 2 others sustained injuries in the accident. Ado Musa completes the story.
Sule Kayarda died in an accident on his way to Kano State when suddenly a trailer collided with their vehicle. A wife, 23 children and many grandchildren survived him. The death of the popular businessman has left his remaining family members and other sympathizers in shock, with some saying the death will linger in their memory for a long time to come. Hanifa Kayarda, who lost both father and mother in the incident, said she was sad by the death, but has submitted everything to Allah, hoping to keep the legacy of her parents.
So Alhamdulillah, we are hopeful to all this. We are sad, definitely. We will never get used to this loss. Alhamdulillah, from the things we are hearing, some of the things they did, we were not even aware. Some people that come here to tell us how they touched their lives, we don't even know them. We're just knowing about them now.
Umar Kayarda is a son to the deceased and also speaks on the death of their father and other members of the family. We are not happy with the sudden death, but Allah knows why He took them away at this moment. We believe that every soul shall taste death. We have lost indeed, but there is nothing we could do. We are happy that He had given us good training and left good legacy. We will continue to pray for him and other members of the family. The death of the 5 members of the family came 5 days after an elder daughter died, leaving the surviving members of the family and sympathizers to grieve. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
That's a very sad story there. Now, meanwhile, the road crash which claimed the life of a popular Jos businessman, Sule Kayirda, and 5 persons on Saturday is said to have been caused by a speed violation. The sector commander of the Federal Road Safety Corps in Bauchi State, Yusuf Abdullahi, confirmed the figure when he spoke with News Agency of Nigeria in Bauchi. He said 2 other persons were seriously injured in the crash which occurred at Isma village on the Bauchi-Jos highway, involving 1 Peugeot 406 car and a DAF tanker. Abdullahi said both the injured and the corpses had been taken to the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa Teaching Hospital in Bauchi. He lamented the losses and advised motorists to always be conscious of traffic rules and regulations. Elsewhere, the people of Ilobu, the headquarters of Irikpodu local government area of Osun State, have expressed worry over the dangerous state of the Laro Bridge in the town. They lamented that the Laro Bridge has become a death trap and almost cutting off many communities in the area from the Ilobu town. Hamid Oyegbade has more.
The road has become almost impassable. The people of Konda and Atoyebi communities are finding it difficult to move to Ilobu Township because of the dilapidated Laro Bridge. It also affects 3 secondary schools and the general hospital in the area, thereby making it difficult for students to attend schools, while residents are unable to access health care at the hospital. The president of Ilobu Ashake Development Union, Olufemi Salako, said the collapsed bridge constituted danger to the people and appealed to the state government to rehabilitate the bridge.
It is the main road connecting the Konda community, the Atoyebi community, the General Hospital of Ilobu, the Muslim Playground, and the 3 secondary schools here. In addition to all the agrarian community, this is the road that they used to bring in farm produce, and that all the community, like a quarter of residents of Ilobu, to access the main town, and it's totally damaged.
A community leader, Muideen Adeleke, appealed to the state government to repair the bridge before it leads to affordable deaths.
So we are appealing to the state government to intervene by ensuring that this bridge that is threatened now is almost, cut off. It's almost cut off, and if nothing is done, definitely people living at Konda, among other adjoining communities, will find it difficult accessing the center of Ilobu.
Another community leader in Ilobu, Afusat Alabi, also appealed to the federal government to ensure completion of the Ojutu Bridge that connects Osun and Oyo states to the northern parts of the country.
So I'm using this opportunity to appeal to the federal government, the contractor, all the stakeholders involved, to please come to our aid to complete this particular bridge, because we have a lot of people flying this road. People going from Oshogbo, from Osun State to Oyo State to the north, to another part of the country, they ply this particular road.
The residents said when government repair the bridge, farmers will be able to bring farm produce to Ilobu town, and it will boost the economy of the town. Hamid Oyegbade, Trust TV News, Oshogbo.
A pregnant woman and her teenage daughter have been abducted at Akilibu village located along Kaduna-Abuja highway. The incident happened around 8:30 p.m. on Saturday. The bandits reportedly went straight to their victim's house to abduct them. The bandits stormed the house with the intention of abducting the woman's husband, but he was not at home at the time of their arrival. Residents said they shot sporadically to scare the villagers away. The neighbor of the victims, who didn't want to be named, said the housewife, identified as Adama, was abducted alongside 4 of her children, but the bandits later released 3 of them. Another resident, who identified himself as Ashir Akilabu, said the bandits took them by surprise because they disguised as security personnel. He said the villagers mistook them for security men, since soldiers and police usually frequent the village on patrol. Police Public Relations Officer DSP Mohammed Jalige is yet to give details on the incident. Social Democratic Party has inaugurated 222-member campaign council headed by a former female commissioner of Women Affairs in Adamawa, Mrs. Titi Malik, with a vow to sweep the 2023 general election in all contested positions. The gubernatorial candidate of the party, Umar Ardo, said the basis of appointing a woman to lead the campaign council was aligned with the gender politics adopted by the state. Silas Lord reports that its Central Planning Committee was also inaugurated. His report.
The SDP gubernatorial candidate, Ardo, who expressed optimism of emerging victorious at the polls, prayed for PDP in Adamawa not to be disqualified so that they can compete favorably.
We are going to conquer hunger, we are going to conquer illiteracy, we are going to conquer poverty, we are going to conquer corruption, we are going to conquer disease, we are going to bring about fundamental changes that will visibly be seen to affect the life of our people. Any developmental change of whatever nature, if you have not seen it visibly affect the people, it is of no essence.
Speaking after the inauguration ceremony, the newly appointed Director General, SDP Campaign Council, Titi Malik, vowed to work assiduously toward the successful outing of the party come 2023 general polls in the state.
What we expect from the people of Adamawa State and our campaign council is that Dr. Ardo is the best alternative for Adamawa State at this moment, because we believe that he is going to deliver good governance to the people of Adamawa State. So my position as the Director General today and being inaugurated today, we are going to work hard. We are going to be committed to seeing that we win the 2023 election.
Thank you. The only candidate we have now in Adamawa State is Dr. Umar Ardo, is a SDP candidate. So what I want to tell Adamawa people, we have serious problem and we need their attention. We want them to know the situation we are now.
Indeed, all these politics of godfatherism, politics of mafianism, the people of Adamawa State need to set that type of political, or I can say a barbaric nature of politics aside and bring in new politics where all people should be inclusive in their governance.
The campaign council was then urged to be sincere, truthful, and committed to ensuring the party's victory come 2023. From Yola, Salis Lewan, Trust TV News.
Presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, says money, ethnicity, or religion should not be allowed to influence the outcome of the 2023 elections. Obi said a successful businessman who has not stolen public funds, he can fix the country. Peter Obi, who was responding to an inquiry on a Trust TV's interactive program 30 Minutes, spoke extensively on how he made his money, his track record as governor, lack of structure to propel his candidature, and what he intends to bring to the table if elected Nigeria's president next year.
When I was declared governor of Anambra State, naturally, I have assets, I have investments in the UK. What I needed to do was to put those assets and investment into a trust. Because the law said to me, you're no longer allowed by law to operate an account. You're no longer allowed to be employed to do any other job, to be employed by another company.
Right.
So all this ceases. But the law didn't say you can't own what you owned before. What it said is that all those things needs to be. So for me, because they were owned, the company I operated was owned 100% by a company in Nigeria, I put all those assets in the UK into what you call a trust. Call it blind, call it open trust, but it was a trust company, and say, keep this.
You're watching News Hour on Trust Television. Coming up, we'll take a look at a man who has never used cars. Details of this after the break. Stay with us.
Taj Bank, we are a non-interest bank like no other. That's because we do not just share in your success story, but we also share your risk like it's ours. And that's why we say at Taj Bank, our only interest is you.
This is the road leading up to the Lokoja Bridge from Abuja. And as you can see, tankers carrying fuel, trucks carrying livestock, perishables, and commuters trying to make their way from point A to point B have all been slowed down as a result of the flooding going on in Lokoja.
As I tell you, so my house is inside water like this.
This is my house, Big Music is my house.
We have no option than to come here and look for what we chop.
This water have really spoiled many things. Even as I'm talking to you, I'm not in my own house.
I want to encourage them and assure them that their governor, the governor they elected, had come to see them, and government officials have been going there to see them. They are not in this alone. We are with them.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. Our top stories. Southern Katsina comes under persistent bandits' attack as insecurity escalates. Bandits abduct pregnant woman, teenage daughter along Kaduna-Abuja highway. Moving on, President Muhammadu Buhari has been urged to direct the Minister of Labour, Chris Ngige, to immediately reverse the deduction in the salaries of university lecturers. The federal government paid half salaries to members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities for the month of October 2022. Some professors reportedly received salaries ranging from 71,000 naira to 121,000 for October. Justifying the decision, Ngige said ASU members were paid their October salary pro rata. Pro rata was done because the lecturers cannot be paid for work not done. Now, in a statement on Sunday, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, knocked the federal government for not paying the varsity teachers in full. SERAP Deputy Director Kolaole Oluwadare also asked President Buhari to direct the Acting Accountant General of the Federation, Silva Okoli Abo, to immediately reverse the apparently illegal deductions from the salaries of members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities for October 2022. On February 14th, ASU embarked on strike and suspended it on October 14th. While the strike lasted, the government insisted that lecturers would not be paid for the period of the strike. 11 Director General of the Delta State Contributory Health Commission, Ben Nkechika, says the state government is providing health insurance to internally displaced persons in the state because their means of livelihood have been eroded by the ravaging flood. Nkechika, who stated this at a press conference in Asaba, explained that the state government is determined to provide access to quality health services to all residents of the state, irrespective of their socio-economic status and geographical location. He noted that with the enrollment of the internally displaced persons into the contributory health insurance, they would have access to free quality health care for 1 year, even after leaving the camps.
Extending the program to them. These are people that have lived in very rural communities. So we're extending this program to them where we register them into the scheme through an electronic process. We get their biodata, we get their biometrics on the family tree, father, mother, and the children. We issue them an ID card. With that ID card, they're able to be referred from the clinic within the camp to any of the private or public healthcare facilities for more care beyond what the camp can provide. A big challenge to access to healthcare for most of these poor people is affordability. We've seen situations where one medical condition can wipe out a family's earnings because the medical condition is beyond what they can pay for. They probably sell their property, go take loan, or they succumb to the effects of that healthcare service just because they are unable to afford it. So this program is designed to ensure that this access is available to all people.
Angwenyashi area of Tudunwada community in Jos North local government area of Plateau State are still in awe over the disappearance of a 3-year-old girl and was found alive 3 days later in a pit in an uncompleted building. The incident has sparked pleasant shock in the community and people have been expressing different scenarios around the mystery. Our reporter Dixon Adama reports that 3-year-old Lydia was playing in the compound with 6 other children when she suddenly disappeared. His report. 3-year-old Lydia came from Kwara State to Jos about a month ago with her mother and her brother to visit her auntie who resides at Tudunwada. On that fateful day, Lydia was playing outdoors with her brother and cousins who were on a school mid-term break when she vanished into thin air. What is surprising is that this 3-year-old had never gone out of her compound alone, so she does not know anywhere apart from the little apartment they live in. And what's more overwhelming was for her to be found in a wall in an uncompleted building where people defecate and dump refuse about 400 kilometers away from her house. She had injuries on her forehead after she was found, where she was immediately rushed to Plateau Hospital in Jos.
Immediately as they brought her out from the well, they asked, "Is this the girl that we are looking for?" We now say yes. So we rushed her to the hospital. She was given some medications and treatment. So we came back home around 5 o'clock in the evening.
And according to what the madam, she told us that the girl, they were playing, 7 of them. Then only to come and discover they didn't see her. After 3 days, then they went and saw her inside a deep well there where the dump refuse inside the place. And according to the distance from the house and where the well was, the distance is too far.
Seriously, this incident that happened seriously is a shock for everybody. Because we have never had something like that in Tudunwada like this. Because it's a surprise for everybody. That things a child can just miss for 3 days, and before they will still know what happened, that girl missed before inside the well. And they take the girl out with life, and they were supposed, seriously, it's a shock for everybody, seriously. Because we have never seen something like this. Seriously, we are just advising that women, seriously, you should be very careful how you leave your children to walk around like that.
The community recently had a case of kidnapping and disappearance of people, upon which 2 suspects were recently nabbed by members of the community and were almost lynched by angry mob before they were rescued by security operatives. Meanwhile, Lydia's family said the case is now with the police to investigate her disappearance. However, parents have been called upon again to be more vigilant and ensure they have a 24-hour watch over their children. Culture binds people together despite their social status or where they may live in the world. The 2022 Lempzar annual gathering of Sayawa clan of Tafa Balewa local government area of Bauchi State corroborates this notion. A large number of people from far and near converged on Tafa Balewa to witness the event, thereby boosting the economy of the area. Trust TV's Adamu Imam reports.
Many Nigerians believe that culture tells more about where people come from, especially when it depicts norms and values of a particular tribe. Isha Abdul is the chairman of the Lempzar Festival 2022, and he said this year's event is meant to exhibit their cultural identity.
People have come from all areas, even from outside the country, people have come. So we want to appreciate everybody, and it has helped us to actually sustain the culture, at least for this year. So continuity will continue to sustain the culture, and that will be the basis of, let me say, the identification of the people.
He says color of festival attire symbolizes their redemption as human beings.
Noted is the black, which shows that we were born as sinners, and we were children of the devil. So we were in darkness. Christ came and shed his blood for us. That is the red. So this blood that he shed for us now cleansed us. We are now as white as snow.
Chairman of Sayawa community in Lagos State says unity is paramount as they celebrate yet another year of bountiful harvest. Waiga Allah Daniel Zar, youth leader, urged youth of the area to conduct themselves responsibly during the 2023 general elections.
Sayawa Desire people is a unique day for us. Everywhere we want to celebrate this very day. To remember this day, this is the day that after all the farming, we have harvested the produce, we have celebrated it. So it's been a natural activity that has been going on.
To call on my youth, since the 2023 election is around the corner, and the INEC have officially announced the date of collecting the PVC, that they should try as much as possible to went to their locations and obtain their PVC, because that is the only weapon.
The Sayawa people seized the opportunity of the annual cultural festival to boost economic activity, and that is white sugarcane harvest is one known as agricultural occupation of the people.
Tea drinking culture is growing in Abuja, with many tea spots springing up in the nation's capital. People from different walks of life take tea from different reasons. Trust TV's Kabir Lawal reports.
No matter what the reason is, tea can be served iced or hot, but its benefits go far beyond refreshment. There is plenty of research findings showing that drinking tea can improve one's health. In the Federal Capital Territory, however, tea sellers further explain that aside the health benefit, it has now become a tradition for consumers to take tea.
Seldom, not always. I take tea seldomly. Early in the morning, or when I get to office. When I get to office, I take tea seldomly, once in a while before work. That is if I'm feeling hungry, early hours of the morning, and I needed to take something that will not be too weighty in my system. Then I take tea.
If I take I used to take Bonfita. When I take Bonfita, it makes me look healthy, and it's very good for my body. Because it's working for body. That is why, even though it costs, you have to.
Awal Ibrahim, who sells tea, added that tea comes in different varieties and flavor, and even differs in prices. Tea comes in different prices and varieties. We have garlic tea, We have flavor and ginger, and lots of them. It serves as remedy to most tea consumers. While some take it before the meal, so many prefer taking it after every meal. Tea taking is very common here in the Federal Capital Territory. Most people come here to buy it in the morning hours for breakfast and take it at work. Some go for garlic, while some go for other variety according to their own decision. Consumers said they derive pleasure in taking tea for breakfast or at dinner, given the body system benefits. I take tea regularly. I like taking it without putting sugar or milk. It works more for me than mixing it with any content, be it sugar or other tea.
I take tea because it helps a lot in the body. Like this morning I drank tea. Tea give me energy. The energy make me to be strong, to do work very well.
While traditional teas have less than 50% of what typically is found in coffee, herbal blends have no caffeine, meaning one can consume it without effect on its nervous system. Kabir Lawal, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Commercial activities are on the increase in most urban centers across Nigeria, prompting people to devise new ways of doing things, including how they take their breakfast and suffer. Tea joints, popularly known as Teburin Meshai in Hausa, are now center of attraction. Meshai operates in makeshift shop by the roadside where customers could easily see them. In this special report, Silas Lowell takes a look at the evolution of Meshai in Nigeria. His report.
Some people have made it a habit to visit a tea shop as their first port of call in the morning, before embarking on work, and the last place to visit at night. Meshai shop is beyond an outlet where tea is served to customers, but also a joint where friends and business partners meet to talk business. This joint is my favorite spot. As an Okada man, I frequently visit. Sometimes I spend up to 200, 300, and even 500 naira to enjoy my life.
This is my third time today along to visit this joint. Let me tell you, sometimes my wife used to brew the same tea to me, but to be sincere, I'm not enjoying it as like the way I used to have it here. More importantly, I consider this spot as a point of meeting between us.
According to this Meshai, Ibrahim Aliyu, who inherited the occupation from his father, although the business has changed from what it used to be, it is, however, still paying his bills.
My Shai business provided money for me and of course my family. My father once told me that our house and his were all acquired through this tea business, and I know in our house we're educated in the same. To tea business have I done everything to my family.
Speaking on the monetary reward of the business, Elias Yusuf Law said the business has given him money no other business could have given him.
It's a really business, and I mean it. And it is really, of course, I benefit on this tea, and some people are still benefiting. Though some people are taking the business as a local business, or it's something that is not public or not well established, and it is not like that.
All that is needed are tables, benches, and a nice place to boil water or fry eggs, and of course some provisions including loaves of bread and noodles. From Yola, Silas Lewan, Trust TV News.
In the early days, people had no means of transport. Wherever they had to go somewhere, they walked on feet and used animals to carry their goods. However, the invention of the wheel proved to be the best thing that happened to man, as it made transport easier. In this report, Beatrice Kuruti in Maiduguri met a man who has never used any form of transportation apart from his legs. His report.
This is Umar Goni. He has never entered a car in his life. Born and brought up in this house where his grandparents and relatives live for many years in Bulunkutu in Maiduguri metropolis, Malam Goni treks to go to anywhere he wants to go daily. Malam Goni said as far back as 50 years, the only means of transportation he enjoyed and trusts is walking. Sometimes he covers 20 kilometers, other times even more. I don't like boarding keke or taxi. I prefer to walk. I've been doing it for long. People say I use charm. I don't. That's how God created me. And I don't experience body pains. Some people who always see him passing by, trekking from one place to another from early mornings to late evenings, always wonder why engage in such tiring acts. This is really amazing because it's during our forefathers' time that they walk such distance. But like his own, honestly, there must be something behind it. We know him for like 15 years now. He treks to the market and to the Sheh's palace daily. He goes to the Sheh's palace to pay homage even if the Shehu is not around. He doesn't smoke or use drugs because if he do, we will know. We only see him with a radio and he doesn't have a phone. Ever since I've known him, I've never seen him taking a rest before continuing his walk. And I've not seen him with a friend walking together. I can't trek like that, honestly, with this economic situation. All of us are surprised with him. He's been trekking since the time of Maina Maaji. He also doesn't have a phone. He doesn't like it. When they got one, he sold it to pay off debts. He does so because he doesn't have the means. That's why he treks always. If not, if he has a car or tricycle, he won't be trekking. Despite people wondering why Malam Goni does not use other means of transportation available, he is always admired and fondly known around the city because of his hands akimbo walk and usual waving to greet his admirers. His daily walks start from early mornings and end late evenings. What a man, what a long, arduous journey.
You're still watching News Hour on Trust Television. Just stay with us.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. Moving on, the death toll from Sunday's plane crash in Lake Victoria in Tanzania has jumped to 19, according to the country's Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa. The plane, which departed from the commercial capital Dar es Salaam, crashed while attempting to land during a stormy weather. Regional Commissioner Albert Chalamila said 43 people, including 39 passengers, 2 pilots and 2 cabin crew were on board the plane. Local authorities and the airline earlier said that 26 survivors out of the 43 people on board flight PW494 had been pulled to safety and taken to hospital in Bukoba, a lakeside city in the Kagera region. It was not immediately clear if the 19 victims included rescuers who drowned or whether the 48-seater aircraft had more people on board than previously disclosed, a regional official said. A suicide bomber has detonated his explosives near a military training camp in Somalia, killing at least 5 people and wounding 11 others. The attack at the camp in the Somali capital Mogadishu was claimed by the Al-Shabaab armed group and comes a week after twin explosions in the capital that left at least 116 dead. SONA, a military official, announced the death toll in a Twitter post citing the Somali National Army chief, Odoa Yusuf Rage. SONA said the attack happened at the camp's entrance and quoted Rage as saying that Somali troops thwarted the bomber from reaching his target. Earlier, Aidan Yari, another military official, told newsmen that the assailant targeted the Zero Naktak training camp for army recruits. Now, thousands of distraught demonstrators marched through Accra, Ghana's capital, on Saturday, calling for the resignation of President Nana Akufo-Addo over deteriorating economic conditions. Many citizens are blaming President Nana Akufo-Addo for the free-falling cedi, rising cost of fuel and food costs, which have worsened living conditions in the country. Protesters clad in red waved placards and chanted "Akufo-Addo must go" and IMF no, in reference to the government's ongoing talks with the International Monetary Fund for billions of dollars to hold up the economy. According to the World Bank, 1 in every 4 persons in the country live on less than $2.15 per day. The protest was the latest in a series of demonstrations this year over the soaring cost of living that has made things even harder for the masses. The protests are expected to resume on November 15th. 4 miners were injured after an explosion at a mine in northwest Turkey on Sunday, 3 weeks after a blast at another pit in the area killed 42. The blast occurred overnight at a privately owned mine in the Kilimigri district, the DHN news agency reported. The injured miners have been transported to a hospital in the capital, Ankara, for treatment on October 14th. A blast that ripped through a state-owned mine near the small coal town of Amasra, 50 kilometers away from this weekend's blast, ended up killing 42 people. 25 people, including the director of the mine, have been detained. The opposition has accused the government of failing to take the necessary measures to prevent the disaster. Turkey suffered its deadliest coal mining disaster in 2014 when 301 workers died in a blast and ensuing fire that brought down a mining shaft in the western town of Soma. And in sports, Arsenal returned to the top of the Premier League table as Gabriel's close-range finish gave them victory away to Chelsea at the Stamford Bridge. Gabriel pounced to steer the ball over the line in the 63rd minute after the host failed to deal with Bukayo Saka's corner from the right wing to give the Gunners a deserved lead. They had created the best chances when it was goalless, but Gabriel Martinelli curled a shot over the crossbar and Gabriel Jesus failed to hit the target with a diving header when unmarked. Chelsea, with ex-Arsenal captain Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, failed to make an impact against his former side, struggled to create clear-cut chances and are now without a win in 4 Premier League matches. Arsenal lost top spot on Saturday when 10 Manchester City beat Fulham 2-1 thanks to Erling Haaland's winning penalty in the 5th minute of injury time, but his win takes them 2 points clear of Pep Guardiola's side after 13 matches. Now, Unai Emery enjoyed a dream debut as Aston Villa manager with an impressive and deserving victory against Manchester United at Villa Park. The host had not beaten United on home soil in the league since 1995, but were 2-0 up after 11 minutes in this game following an incredible start. Leon Bailey opened the scoring in the 7th minute when he broke clear of the defence before arrowing a low shot beyond David De Gea. Things got even better after Villa just 3 minutes later, then Lucas Digne curled in a brilliant free kick from 25 yards. The win moved Aston Villa up to 13th, 3 points above the relegation zone, while Manchester United remain 5th. And Barcelona legend Gerard Piqué was given an emotional standing ovation as he made his final Nou Camp appearance in their 2-1 La Liga over Almeria. He was replaced in the 84th minute and tearfully embraced all his teammates, both Xavi and the entire Barca bench. The 35-year-old would retire after Tuesday's trip to Osasuna, although it is not certain he'll play in that. There were several tributes to him on his farewell night at the Nou Camp. Piqué, who was named captain, walked on the pitch with his 2 sons as all his teammates wore shirts with his name and number 3 on the back. And now Brighton Chantal Cameron became the UK's first undisputed female champion after beating Jessica McCaskill by anonymous decision in Abu Dhabi. Cameron made easy work of American Macass at Etihad Arena to become the undisputed light welterweight champion. All 3 judges ruled in the Brighton's favour with 2 cards showing 96 and 94 and 97, 93. McCaskill is the undisputed welterweight champion and dropped down a division in search of further glory, but she struggled to match Cameron's outburst. Northampton's Cameron, who extended her unbeaten record to 17, demanded a rematch with 38-year-old McCaskill at the welterweight as she looks to become undisputed in 2 divisions. Now let's take a look at this feature. Stay with us.
The project is important because before this project was installed here, the farmers used to farm using furrow irrigation. Mostly they used a lot of water, but as per now, they are able to use very minimal water, and meaning they will be able to sustain the water that is in the dam, and it will be used by most of the community.
Through the use of the components of water harvesting, we harvest the water during the rainy season and store it in our dams so that during the dry spell we can supply it to the crops.
Ngoragwo ndĩ ndereba rĩu rĩrĩa tũrenjeirwo ndemu rĩ ndĩrona rĩu ndigũthiĩ gwethera mbeca kũraihu ndĩrauga ngũciethera kũ nĩguo ndĩreciririe hande mboga nĩgetha nyambe nyone tĩri ũcio wa gũitĩrwo ndemu ũrĩa ũkũbehave rĩu ndĩrenda ona mboga ĩno ĩkiuma rĩ njite nyanya
wahingũrĩra harĩa maĩ tuone ũrĩa maitĩkaga gũkũ rĩu
icio nĩ tũrenda rĩu
In case I need to make clarification, I just talk to you.
This project being a climate smart agriculture project, it involves the use of the green energy or solar energy to pump the water from the dam and then put it into the water storage tanks. From the water storage tanks, now the water can flow by gravity to the farms or to the fields where the irrigation is being done. Since the type of the irrigation we are undertaking is drip irrigation, the water can go through the piped system and it gets to the crop very efficiently. And we use also very little water compared to initially when the farmers were using flood irrigation.
Well, there you go. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Zainab Bella.